Have the Dallas Mavericks pulled off highway robbery with the addition of Makhtar N'Diaye? We'll talk about that here on Dallas Mavericks Today. Harrison Graham and Jeffrey Cooperstein with you. Coop, the Mavs add to their front office as Nico Harrison poaches N'Diaye, former New York Knick.
Yes, we'll get into all that N'Diaye will bring to the organization here in just a second, and he's a name that has a lot of connections throughout the NBA. So while you may not think much of it, I think this is a pretty good acquisition and hiring by Nico Harrison. But first, we need you guys to help us out. We need to help get to 30K subs by the end of the season, or by the beginning of the season, and we can't do it without you guys. We are about 260 subs away, so if you could hit that subscribe button, we'd greatly appreciate it. We bring informative, entertaining, and free Mavs coverage pretty much every day, and we'll be hitting some watch parties as well. We can't wait for the season to begin, so join the ride with us and hit the subscribe button.
Yeah, I don't know if there's been a more hyped going into a season, maybe ever, because even the year after the title with the lockout and everything, I don't think many people really thought that was a title team. Clearly it wasn't. Maybe this year it is. Join the run. It's going to be a lot of fun.
Let's go.
All right, so Ian Begley had the report, Coop, of N'Diaye coming to the Mavericks. He was the Knicks Director of International and Pro Scouting. Now he's in the Mavericks front office. He was with the Knicks for almost a decade.
Yep.
And played a role behind the scenes in getting OG Anunoby and Dante DiVincenzo.
But the interesting thing is, N'Diaye actually lived in the Dallas area for the last few years. He was always at Mavericks games scouting and talking with people and stuff like that. So he's been in the area for a long time. So the Mavs have been familiar with him, and he's just another guy that in this front office that has a lot of connections throughout the NBA. Like Ian Begley said, he played a pivotal role behind the scenes in the OG Anunoby trade, as well as getting Dante DiVincenzo over from the Warriors a couple of off seasons ago. So this guy knows a lot of people, has a lot of connections, and again, that's kind of what Nico Harrison's trying to build, is a front office full of relationships.
And that's really what I like about this, Coop. It's like Nico Harrison has already established himself as someone who can acquire and keep talent. Like, he's proven that very quickly here. Yeah, he's not resting on his laurels. Like,
absolutely.
That's good leadership. And getting a guy like this to come in here that can only bolster the front office, I'm a fan of that move. Good teams, they stay good because they keep doing what works, and they're always looking to adapt and evolve. And clearly this is an example of that. And now I think you have a nice little core here, Coop, of people who just offer a little bit of everything. Nico, relationships guy. So, he's made that clear with the acquisitions he's made and the ability to sign and acquire talent here. Michael Finley, he's a Mavs guy. He's someone who can sell you on the organization itself. You have Matt Riccardi in there, and now you bring in N'Diaye, a guy who's been with the Knicks for a decade, and say what you want about that franchise. The last 4 or 5 years, they've done a really good job of acquiring talent and becoming a relevant franchise once again. So I think you got to feel pretty good with the direction of this organization, Coop, and I think it starts with the front office. I think it's a really, really good group right now, and there's a lot of reasons to be optimistic, not only in the short term, but moving forward.
Absolutely. I mean, I think championships are won, and it starts with your front office, and it starts with how they're building the team and building a culture of a team. Nico's done a great job of it, and all his cronies isn't the right word, but all the people under him that are reporting to him and have different jobs, they're all doing a great job right now, and it feels like there is pretty much total alignment in the Mavericks front office, and when everyone's aligned and they all are working towards the common goal of delivering a championship, it gets pretty fun, and it can get pretty dangerous for the rest of the NBA.
I think it's one of those things too, Coop, before you move on, is like, I feel like if you poll anonymous players, coaches, other front office members in the league, like, I think if you asked, hey, where do the Mavericks front office rank in the NBA, I think most would say top 10.
Agreed.
I don't think that would ever even be close to the case before Nico.
No.
I think most people would be like, yeah, like, Mark Cuban's a cool guy, but, like, the Mavericks aren't that serious.
Yeah, exactly.
It's a good team, and they've had good players, but like
they're never going to be.
They're not
great.
A destination place. Whereas now, clearly they are, and we're going to talk about Klay Thompson in a minute. But yeah, it's exciting, and you gotta give credit where credit is due. And Nico's done a good job, and he's done it quickly. I mean, the guy's had the job for 3 years.
That's what I was about to say. The changing of the guard took place, pretty quickly. I mean, Cuban sold the team, and then within a couple of months, he was like completely out of the picture as far as basketball operations go. And now Nico's the guy, man. He's running the ship. The Adelson/Dumont family is letting him do what he does, and he's doing a very good job at it. So kudos to Nico and his team. Let's see what they have in store for this season. I'm sure that the Mavs are going to make a move probably near the trade deadline or in the season that'll surprise some people. So can't wait for that.
Where do you guys think, and I know you're not going to know every single front office in the NBA. I don't know every front office in the NBA.
Nobody does.
Just think about moves in recent years and months. Where do you think the Mavs front office ranks in the NBA? I think top 10 at worst, Coop, and I think a lot of people, based on the last 12 months, would say top 5. I really do think it's that good.
Top 5, and it may not be 5. I really think this front office is something special, man, and the Mavs should be very lucky for having Nico Harrison and his squad to, go get Klay Thompson, go get Daniel Gafford, and kind of build a team that's ready to win a title.
Yeah, should be a lot of fun this year. Rank from 1 to 30. All right, Prize Picks is number 1 when it comes to daily fantasy sports, and football is back. Basketball will be back very, very soon, and the opportunity is there to make some money. Create an account today. Go to prizepicks.com/CLNS. Use the code CLNS to get a deposit match up to $100 when you sign up. Plus a little bonus opportunity here. If you sign up today, right now, link on screen, you're going to get an additional $50 once you place a $5 play. It doesn't matter if you win or lose. You're going to get that $50 bonus regardless. We got a little season-long 3-player entry already loaded in the chamber here. Luka Doncic, more than 31.9 points per game. Basically, do you think he's going to average 32 or more this year? Take the more there. Steph Curry, more than 27.6 points per game. More on Victor Wembanyama as well at 24 points per game. 10 to win 50 on that 3-player entry. That's one to monitor all season long, but of course there's individual game entries. You can cross over sports with basketball, baseball, football, etc. Listen, it's a great time of year with football in the air and basketball not far behind. So get started today. prizepicks.com/CLNS. The code CLNS gets you that initial deposit match up to $100. All right, speaking of the front office, Coop, I think it's only appropriate to explore this and kind of revisit. Did the Mavs pull off the most meaningful offseason acquisition this year by acquiring Klay Thompson in a sign and trade? And look, I'm not saying he's the best player that moved to a new team. I think Paul George is a guy you'd have to acknowledge is a better player than Klay Thompson. But to get this guy, considering what the Mavs needed, a below-average three-point shooting team last year, championship experience, trying to, get that Larry O.B., I don't think you could diminish the addition of Klay Thompson.
Absolutely. It was nothing short of monumental for the Mavericks to land Klay Thompson from a psychological standpoint and from a basketball standpoint as well. The Mavs have never been able to land their top target in free agency as long as I've been watching the team, and this year is the first time that they really did it, and they ended up getting Klay Thompson over from the Golden State Warriors. Everyone knows the 4-time NBA champ, a bunch of all-star appearances, probably the second greatest shooter of all time next to his teammate in Steph Curry. And I was just kind of thinking this morning, I was like, was he the best acquisition for any NBA team this offseason? Now, there were a few good ones, so we'll just run it. And this is in no particular order. You have Klay going to the Mavs, Paul George, as you mentioned, to the Sixers, Bridges to the Knicks, and Hartenstein to the Thunder, Kentavious Caldwell-Pope to the Orlando Magic. So those are all high-impact ones as well. You have DeMar DeRozan, Alex Caruso, DeJounte Murray switching teams. I really think that it's near or at the top of the list as far as acquisitions going from an old team to a new team go.
Yeah, I mean, look, I think Paul George is the most probably impactful player that move, but you got to factor in everything. And the contract is a big part of this. To get Klay Thompson for 3 years and $50 million, even if it doesn't work out, you haven't crippled yourself. It's a really good acquisition here with what he brings tangibly, intangibles as well. Even if he's just a guy who knocks down open threes and not much else, that's still worth the contract you brought him in for, especially considering the championship pedigree he brings. So I think it's at or near the top of the list. I do think the Hartenstein one to OKC significant. It's an overpay though. That's one where you look at the contract. It's clear overpay, but he fits what they need. The Mavs kind of found a balance of, okay, this guy is going to help us in an area that we need help in, but we're not going to break the bank to do it. Like that's a pretty nice little combination for Nico and the boys to get him in here at a reasonable price tag.
And it sounds like, from all accounts, that he could have gotten more money elsewhere from both the Warriors and the Lakers.
Yep.
Especially on averaging.
Well, he turned down 2 for $48 last offseason from the Warriors, so you essentially got him on the same total money but an extra year.
And it sounds like the Lakers offered 4 for $80 as well. So he wanted to be here, which is pretty crazy because the Mavs really needed a guy with that championship pedigree to kind of show how it's done and show how champions are made, essentially. And Klay's going to do just that for the Mavs. I expect him to be a leader on and off the court as well. And I think he's going to fit in seamlessly with this team. I really do.
Yeah, I mean, you think about what you have now. You have one of the 2 or 3 best players in the NBA in Luka, who now has extensive playoff experience. You have Kyrie Irving, who's won a championship as a number 2 next to LeBron James. You have Klay Thompson, who's won 4 titles as a number 2 next to Klay Thompson, or next to Steph Curry. And now you have a ton of depth on this roster and guys who can play different roles. So I think this team is built really well, and I can't wait for opening night, man.
Cannot wait.
It's going to be fantastic. What do you guys think? Was Klay the best offseason acquisition? Type Y for yes, type in for no. If the answer is no, Coop, he's top 2 or 3 because I think he fits both on and on the court, off the court, and Dallas got him at a really good price tag.
It's pretty damn close, man. I think Nico did a great job of identifying what they needed, and it seems like he identified it like during the finals, basically, that, all right, we need to go out and get a guy who's going to be able to knock down these open shots because we're just not doing enough of it right now. Hopefully Klay's that guy, man, and I really believe he will be. He's going to have a fresh start. I think he's going to be excited to play with this team, and the Mavs are going to win a lot of ball games this year.
That's going to be a lot of fun. So be sure to join us by subscribing to the channel. It is free. Trying to hit 30K before opening night, so help us do so. He's Jeffrey Cooperstein. I'm Harrison Graham. We'll see you guys tomorrow with another episode of Dallas Mavericks Today.